So BlizzCon 2019 happened not that long ago, and things went relatively smoothly. The people who went there to have fun, had fun, and then the people who went there to protest what happened with Blitzchung, they had their say. Multiple angles to that event, but it all kind of sailed pretty smoothly overall. Now, during that event, the big game that was announced was, of course, Diablo 4. Highly anticipated sequel to a classic franchise. And many have been looking forward to this, wondering how Blizzard is going to take the series to the next level. And from what I've seen, I like the general direction it's going. I like that it's using the Diablo 2 color palette. I like some of the gameplay features that they're bringing back, how they're trying to combine aspects of Diablo 3 and Diablo 2 and trying to create something that hopefully will appeal to as many fans as possible, something that fans can look at and go, okay, yeah, this feels like Diablo. But how that all pans out ultimately remains to be seen. Some of the graphics, I think, could be improved, but also the game's really early in development. Blizzard said that even by Blizzard standards, Diablo 4 won't be out for a while. So there's a lot of room for growth, and I do hope this game really blows away fans who've been really wanting the next big Diablo entry. Now, the one thing that worries me, as always, is the corporate side of things, the monetization side of things, the aspect that can take a game with a lot of potential, where a lot of creativity is going into it, and then just ruin it through monetization. And it would seem as though Diablo 4 will in fact have some form of microtransactions. The following information comes from this Twitch clip that SkillUp tweeted. This is how I learned of this, and here a Twitch user, a streamer, asked, I believe one of the developers or one of the PR people, how Diablo 4 is going to fund itself, and the response that was provided states as follows.
Monetization. Is there any just sort of decision made in terms of how? So is it going to be like you just buy the game and then that's it, or is it going to be microtransactions within the game, or are you doing like subscription? How are you planning to monetize it and like keep getting funding, I guess, to like keep making content?
So Diablo 4 will be available as a base game, and as I said, we're going to have expansions. You also will be able to acquire cosmetics in the game through...
So MTX? Oh wow, that's going to be through some sort of shop, or can...
It's very early.
Oh wow, okay.
But yes.
Oh, okay, that's really interesting. I mean, to be honest, I really do like the whole MTX monetization scheme, because I don't know, I feel like if they make, if it's really successful, it's making lots of money, then they're gonna keep making stuff for the game. It's not gonna die.
Do not encourage the microtransactions. Like, they have their place in certain types of games, like, especially free to play, but more often than not, microtransactions genuinely make games worse. Please do not talk about how you love microtransactions. They may be a necessity for, again, free to play titles, but my problem with Diablo 4, with the way this game has microtransactions, is that this is a premium-priced $60 game that is going to come with multiple editions. There's no two ways about that. And also, it is going to have expansions that you're going to have to pay for. The content isn't going to be free, the content updates. So that creates a dynamic where they're adding as many layers of monetization as possible, rather than an environment where it feels like they're taking the monetization money to fund free content, so there is ways to justify microtransactions if they're implemented fairly, priced properly, and if what that money is used for makes sense. But if you're going to do both microtransactions and paid expansions, that just feels like too much, especially for a game that is going to sell millions upon millions of copies. And if the expansions are compelling enough, that's going to sell millions as well. It feels like Diablo 4 can fund itself without microtransactions because they're charging for DLCs and expansions. And yet it seems like they're trying to go all in on this stuff. Now, it is cosmetic only, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the monetization will be, something you can just let go and let it slide. We have seen plenty of cosmetic only systems that completely ruin a rewards element that sense of satisfaction, because a lot of people do look forward to cosmetics in certain types of video games, especially, RPGs, and a game like Diablo where every armor piece shows through on screen. And so you want to have that cosmetic customization element to further just make people invested in a game and look forward to stuff in a game. And if that's somehow marred by the monetization, then it is going to mar the gameplay experience. It kind of goes hand in hand. And this goes doubly true for Diablo, given that Diablo 3 actually introduced a really great system called transmorgification. Is that correct? So Forbes actually pointed this out in an article in which they talked about some of their concerns. It reads right here, Diablo 4 has cosmetic microtransactions. This was just confirmed on stream yesterday. It's not clear exactly what Diablo 4 will be selling, but cosmetic microtransactions is enough to raise eyebrows in any loot-based game. Indeed, Diablo 4 is just so heavily dependent on loot, and taking that loot and putting it on and showing yourself off, not just in terms of power, but also just looking badass. Just ask Destiny, which is constantly at war with its player base over the same issue. So the cosmetic-only excuse is just not going to work, especially if this stuff isn't implemented properly, if it isn't priced properly. The article added, Diablo 3 boasted a robust transmorg system, so you could look however you wanted, and that didn't cost anything. So Diablo 4, I feel like it's going to take a step back in terms of cosmetic customization, when Diablo 3 took a step forward with the Reaper of Souls expansion, which is where I believe the transmorg system was introduced. The article continued, but what if Diablo 4 replaces that with paid ornaments or something? That would not be great. Diablo 3 eventually started experimenting with selling various items, but nothing really stuck. It's possible these microtransactions could be fine and nothing, or they might be a direct step down from past games. We'll see. So for those who don't know about transmogrification, it reads right here, according to the Diablo Wiki, transmogrification is a new feature in Diablo 3 introduced in the Reaper of Souls expansion pack. Provided by the Mystic Artisan, it is designed to increase heroes' customization. Transmogrification gives players the ability to modify the appearance of their armor and weapons without compromising any of their power or potency. Transmogrified items can be dyed in the same manner regular items are and retain the dye already applied. The process only costs gold. Standard price is 500, but transmogrifying an item to have a legendary item appearance costs 50,000. In addition, for weaponry, the price increases if the player wishes the appearance of a high-leveled weapon, up to 50,000 in gold. Unlike enchanting, repeated transmogrification of the same item will not raise the price. Reverting the item back to its original appearance is always free. So this is like a good system where you, through gameplay, get to customize your character. It's just this thing that reinforces the gameplay loop. And my fear is that right here, Diablo 4 having cosmetic microtransactions will compromise that. That they're gonna take something people loved and monetize it instead of like taking it to the next level, which is kind of like what Destiny 2 did. Recall that in Destiny 1, you could just unlock shaders and switch them in and out however you wanted. And then Destiny 2 came along and decided, hey, that's something people like. Let's charge them extra for it instead of just putting it in the game and let people enjoy it. And I hope that Activision's influence doesn't seep through, that the system will be reasonable enough where you earn the best looking stuff in-game through gameplay, but we know that a monetization system doesn't work if the most compelling stuff isn't being sold through the premium shop. You know, like, you want to compel people. If you're on the publisher side of things looking at a product, the goal would be to incentivize people and lure people into the item shop by offering the best items there. So I feel like Diablo 4's best cosmetics will be sold separately. But if there is like a reasonable gameplay path towards obtaining stuff in the in-game shop, maybe. And if the microtransactions are priced reasonably enough, like $1 or $2 rather than $10 or $20, maybe. But this isn't a free-to-play game. This is not offering free gameplay updates. So I am very skeptical. I am not approving of what's going on here. And I pray that this doesn't ultimately become a huge detriment to a game that so many people are looking forward to, that generally seems to be on the right path based on what we heard from BlizzCon, from the opening ceremony and the various panels. There seems like there is a gem of potential there, but Activision could swoop in at any moment with their greed and take that all away, especially given that it's recently been reported that Activision Blizzard sees slumping sales and sliding engagement. So they're going to try to make up for that somehow. Like when Destiny 2 reported disappointing sales before it separated itself from Activision. Activision's reaction was, we're going to monetize it more. And this was after Destiny 2 had gone through that rough period in which the monetization ruined the game's reputation. And right as it was picking up, Activision came out and said, we're going to monetize it even more to make up for the loss in sales or the lack of substantial sales. But Activision really, I think, is the biggest danger to Diablo 4. The entity that can take a great game, a potentially great game, and just fuck it up somehow. Only time will tell how this all pans out. Maybe it'll be a whole lot of nothing, but I'm not going to hold my breath given Activision's involved. But that's just my take on this whole situation. I'd love to hear what your take is on Diablo 4 featuring cosmetic microtransactions. What kind of effect you think that will have on things like the transmogrification system. Do you think the game will take a step back, or do you think there can be a way to make a good compromise where they give players cosmetics earned via gameplay while also selling some stuff via the shop to help fund the game is, the excuse they like to give, even though they're raking it in left and right. But yeah, just shout out your opinions in the comments below. And with that, I would like to end this news update and discussion video. Thank you for tuning in. To be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.